Welcome to Substance Abuse Awareness in the Workplace Training. This interactive and informative training session is presented by Compliance Training Group, a division of Diversified Risk Management Incorporated. This course is a practical guide for employers, but we are not attorneys, and therefore it should be considered neither legal opinion nor used as a substitute for legal advice. Employees who are substance abusers can be physically and mentally impaired while on the job. Substance abuse interferes with job satisfaction and the motivation to do a good job. It can affect productivity with reduced output, increased errors, lower quality of work, and reduced customer satisfaction. Stimulants are drugs that can stimulate the central nervous system and excite bodily activity. Methamphetamine or crank is one of the fastest growing drugs of abuse. These drugs create less intense and less expensive cocaine-like effects on the body. An amphetamine is a synthetic stimulant first produced in 1887. It was at one time very easy to obtain. Students used amphetamines to stay awake while cramming for exams. Truck drivers used them on all-night hauls, and third shift workers used the pep pills to stay alert at work. Amphetamine users will usually be hyped up, talkative, and wild-eyed because the drug stimulates the central nervous system. Users can be irritable, paranoid, and can get violent. They also have a compulsion to repeat actions, walking fixed routes over and over, or repeating an already completed task. Some signs and symptoms of abuse: alertness, talkativeness, wakefulness, increased blood pressure, loss of appetite, impaired mental functioning. Some workplace issues: employees who fall under federal guidelines such as the Department of Transportation's testing regulations are prohibited from using amphetamines without a current prescription. The addictive nature and cost can lead to workplace theft and/or dealing. Work performance is erratic with periods of high performance and periods of characterized forgetfulness, absenteeism, and missed work assignments. There are 3 levels of drug and alcohol use. The first is casual, infrequent, or prescribed use without signs of dependency or problems. Second is misuse, use that may negatively affect work, relationships, or other areas of life. This includes usage or conveyance of illegal drugs at work. Third is addiction and dependence, the compulsive need for alcohol or drugs, and inability to control intake of such substances. No one ever aspires to be a drug addict. Involvement with drugs usually begins with experimentation, frequently with introduction to the drug by a friend or a family member. If the drug produces an enjoyable effect, experimentation is usually followed by a pattern of irregular use, most often in social settings. If the progression is uninterrupted, the user begins to select and develop relationships with friends and coworkers who are also involved with the drugs. As these relationships solidify, former friends and coworkers are increasingly shut out. The user's appearance, behavior, interests, and relationships all begin to change. The user withdraws, and his or her social circles shrink even further. The user becomes more secretive, suspicious, and paranoid. The user's relationship with the drug also changes. He or she becomes protective of it, defending its benefits, value to society, and the constitutional right to use it. The user frequently thinks about it, sometimes even studies it, but most always talks about it. Other things change too. On-the-job performance deteriorates. Users develop attendance problems, usually with recognizable patterns. They seem less focused and begin to have more personal problems. They use drugs more frequently and irresponsibly. They may drink and drive, smoke marijuana while hunting or while handling firearms, and consume drugs in public places with people they don't even know. Eventually, they begin to use drugs or alcohol while on the job. At first, their use is very discreet, but gradually it becomes flagrant. Employee abusers will drink in the employee parking lot at lunch and during breaks. They will smoke marijuana in restrooms and locker rooms. They will consume cocaine or other drugs at their desks or workstations. They will use drugs in company-owned vehicles or while out of town on business. Given the opportunity, they will even use drugs with customers and vendors. They will keep drugs in their desks, lockers, and toolboxes. They will use the company mailroom or shipping department to distribute drugs. They will use inter-office mail, company pouches, and overnight delivery services to move and receive the drugs. They will often hide the drugs in safes, furniture, trash containers, hazardous material containers, beverage containers, lunch boxes, briefcases, purses, shoes, coats, raw materials, and finished goods. Employee drug abusers are very resourceful, cunning, and deceitful. There is no substitute for good legal advice from a competent labor and employment attorney. If you are an employer, you need representation in advance of, not only in response to legal problems in the workplace. If you'd like a list of several competent labor and employment law practitioners in your area, we will be happy to assist you.